going on, guys? It's Connor with Red Top. It is a little before 8 o'clock right now, and we are going over to meet Steve, the gentleman who runs the hatchery over in Sandwich, and he's going to give us a little hatchery tour, and then we're going to follow the truck around and stock a couple of ponds. It's going to be a super cool experience. Glad to get to share with you guys, and stay tuned. This will be a fun one.
Hi, my name is Steve Hurley. I'm the Southeast District Fisheries Manager for the Mass Division of Fisheries and Wildlife, also known as Mass Wildlife. Mass Wildlife is funded by fishing and hunting license and federal tax reimbursements on fishing and hunting tackle. One of the things that we operate is the Sandwich Fish Hatchery. It's one of 5 state trout hatcheries that supply trout to the anglers of Massachusetts in visitors. So basically, this hatchery was actually purchased from a private trout company in 1912, and we've been operating it for over 100 years. And the reason why our agency was formed was because of the decline of fisheries after about the Civil War time. We were formed in 1866, and one of the first things we started doing was to supply trout to anglers, because a lot of the wild trout resource was decimated by the building of dams in eastern Massachusetts. So this hatchery has been operated for over 100 years. It supplies about 50,000 pounds of trout per year to the ponds of Cape Cod and the Plymouth area, and it supplies the demand for trout fishing. We welcome visitors to the trout hatchery. It's open 9 to 3, 365 days a year, and people can come here and tour the hatchery and see how trout are raised. And so now I'll kind of give you an explanation of what we raise here for trout. We raise 4 different types of trout. The rainbow trout, which were introduced from the Pacific coast in about the 1880s to Massachusetts. They make up the bulk of our stocking from the Sandwich State Trout Hatchery because they're easy to raise in the hatchery. They produce a nice quality fish in about a year and a half, and they're easy to catch. The brook trout is our native trout species in Massachusetts. It was the streams in Cape Cod in the areas of southeastern Mass were filled with wild brook trout before the European settlers came. But unfortunately, one of the first things they did was to dam the streams, and that basically warmed up the water and blocked the migration of brook trout. And so we're forced to rely on trout hatcheries today to supply the demand for trout fishing. So another species that we raise here is the brown trout. It was introduced from Europe also in the late 1800s, and it grows to a large size. It can produce trophy-sized fish in some of the ponds in the Plymouth and Cape Cod area. You can see some of the sizable display fish we have on hand here at the hatchery for people to look at. Another thing that we raise here in the hatchery is actually the tiger trout, which is a hybrid between a female brown trout and a male brook trout. They're only produced in small numbers because they are a hybrid fish, but they're very popular among anglers because they're easy to catch. They're very beautiful fish with the tiger stripes, which is where they get their name, tiger trout. Take the eggs here at the hatchery, and then the eggs go into the troughs here in the hatch house where they're raised up until they're fry size. These are rainbow trout fry. We get these from a federal fish hatchery. And they're basically raised here in these small troughs, and as they get bigger, they're put into the larger pools before they get put outside. And one of the things about hatchery production is you're constantly splitting the fish up, allowing them to have more space to grow. One of the popular things at the hatchery is actually to put a quarter in here and get some feed and feed the fish. It's very popular for children as well as adults to basically throw the fish feed into the raceways and see how the trout respond and actively feed on them. You can see some of the fish have been fed. It's floating feed. And that feed will eventually go down and be eaten by the fish. That was a good sized fish there. hatchery truck. It basically has 4 compartments, and right now Keith is loading up with water. So it's basically pumping well water right out of the ground into the hatchery truck, and we're going to be loading that truck with fish very shortly. Now, so basically he's going to crowd up the fish to allow them to be loaded onto the truck.
We're gonna go stock up Mashpee Wakeby Pond with Mass Wildlife. Stay tuned.